It's week 13 of the fantasy football season. We've got one quarterback with 7 touchdowns to 2 interceptions and a 59.2 completion percentage, a passer rating of 80.8. We got another quarterback with 1 touchdown to 2 interceptions, 41.7 completion, and a passer rating of 52.6. You have 1 win, you're in. 1 loss, you're out. Who are you picking up off the waiver wire? Producer, hit that button. It's week 13 of the NFL season. Fantasy playoffs are right around the corner. You're watching the Fantasy Forecast with Grindberg and Bigz. I am Bigz. He is Grindberg. And I don't know, Grindberg. We are stats-based guys, and the bigger the sample size, the more clear the picture is. We're entering week 13, and this weekend made people crazy. What is even going on with some of the rhetoric that's out there? How you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm doing good, Bigz. It's week 13 headed into, and week 12 was exciting. We had some monster performances from some big name guys and some duds from some others. And we're going to head right into this because a lot of talk about, Bigz. And let's start us off with our first storyline. And that's all about Jackson Smith-Njigba breaking records and leading fantasy teams. There's always been an unofficial title in football, the best receiver on earth. It's the lineage of Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, T.O., Calvin Johnson, the modern greats like obviously Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. We've seen 1-year fireworks, but Jackson Smith-Njigba, he has arrived and he cannot be covered. He shredded Tennessee for 167 yards, 8 catches, 2 touchdowns, and he was a route running clinic looking like the top dog. The craziest part, there are no down weeks. JSN has 11 straight double-digit fantasy point weeks, 79 plus yards every week, and 7 touchdowns in the last 9 games. He broke Seattle's single-season receiving yardage record before Thanksgiving. He's pacing 2,200 yards and is threatening to erase Calvin Johnson's record from existence. He's winning in short, immediate routes and deep. Seattle's offense is engineered. He's the centerpiece. And yes, shout out to you, my man Bigz, who had JSN as the top 5 wide receiver coming into this year. But even we couldn't even imagine this historic level breakout there, Bigz. You were the guy beating the table on JSN, a top 5 wide receiver, and now he's pacing 2,200 yards, breaking franchise records. Be honest with me right now. Did you even expect this? And more importantly, is JSN now the unquestioned best receiver on earth in fantasy and in real football? And do you see him breaking Calvin Johnson's record?
Of course I saw it coming. No, I didn't see it coming. I didn't see this historic level of performance. I knew he was going to be good, but he has, check this out. In 2024, he had 257 fantasy points in 17 games. In 2025, he has 258 fantasy points in 11 games. He's still got 6 games to go, and he has a point more than he scored last year. That is wild to me. It is, you are the focal point of the offense. We know how to get the ball to you. You know how to get open. Let's do this, and Seattle is rolling with it. He's got a bad matchup in week 13 against Minnesota, but then he's green for a couple weeks. Fantasy championships, he's going up against Carolina. That's not a It's not a great matchup, but as we're seeing from Juwan Jennings tonight with his 15 points against Carolina, it's not like they're unstoppable. JSN is going to finish as the wide receiver 1 rest of the season, for the season, and he's got to be in the conversation now, top 3 wide receiver in all of the NFL.
I love it, Biggs. Man,
I don't
way
know
to
about best receiver on earth. You haven't seen me run a route, so
I've seen you tumble down some stairs, so
you didn't see that.
if you were as gracious as that. Sorry. I love you, buddy. All right. Let's move on to our next storyline, and that is Jahmyr Gibbs. He broke fantasy football, and he was the main character this week. Detroit's overtime thriller against the Giants. It brought a lot of, incredible fantasy performance, but Gibbs detonated one for the ages, one of the greatest running back performances in franchise history, in fantasy football history, and arguably one of the greatest explosions of the modern era. His game-winning 69-yard OT touchdown wasn't just a highlight. It was the exclamation point on a historic day where he piled up 264 total yards, 3 touchdowns, 11 receptions. He shattered Barry Sanders' franchise records for yards from scrimmage and cemented himself as the only Lions RB outside of Sanders to cross 200 rushing yards and on minimal carries too. It was incredible proficiency, and he wasn't just doing it quietly. He was doing it at 22 plus miles per hour. He hit speeds normally track stars hit, and 55 PPR points. It was the highest mark outside of Alvin Kamara's Christmas Day miracle. This was incredible, Biggs. After that performance, the speed, the volume, the numbers, is Jahmyr Gibbs now the true RB1 rest of the fantasy season? Because when we look at this landscape, Bijan's ceiling has been capped every week by Algier stealing touches. CMC production, it could dip with the 49ers at fully healthy. Jonathan Taylor, you mentioned it on previous shows. He faces the toughest remaining schedule, and look at what it did this week to him. So tell me, is Gibbs now the throne, or is it time for fantasy managers to mount up and ride him the rest of the way?
No. Look, you know that I love Jahmyr Gibbs. Okay? I named myself after him, Jahmyr Bigz, right? He's got Green Bay next week. He's got Dallas the week after. He's got a tough matchup in week 15 against the Rams, another tough matchup in week 16 against Pittsburgh, and then an okay matchup against Minnesota in week 17 in the championship. Let's look at what Jahmyr Gibbs has done this season. He has a game over 25 points. He has 2 games over 35 points, and now he's got this game at over 55 points. But even after all that, Jahmyr Gibbs is the RB3 on the fantasy season. That's after a 55-point game. How can you honestly say that somebody is the RB1 in the entire league when they put up 55 points and that doesn't even put them into the RB1 spot? So, yeah, I love Jahmyr Gibbs. It was a game script thing. Jared Goff was getting harassed. He and Jahmyr got together, and he was like, I know what I got. Let's do this. Jahmyr said, put the team on my back, and they did it. It's a terrible, terrible New York Giants offense or defense. The defensive coordinator got fired yesterday, Monday. Yeah, don't put too much stock into it. We're going to talk about somebody else getting shined up and glazed for his performance against an atrocious defense. So I love Jahmyr Gibbs. He's definitely a top 5 running back. But you can't call him the number 1 if he's not the number 1 after a 55-point performance. You can't do it. Will he finish the season ROS as the RB1? It's possible. That's what it means to be in the top 5.
Mm-hmm. Love it. All right, Biggs. This one is a shocker, and that's Shedeur Sanders. He does shock the NFL. He made history, win his first NFL start, leading the Cleveland Browns to a 24-10 win over your Raiders and instantly silencing doubters. Well, I mean, I don't know about that. This was a game where it was playing the Raiders. I mean, you've seen this full steam here. This team isn't playing at its full capacity, and Shedeur Sanders, he made those flaws a little bit more out to lunch here. So He controlled the game. He executed the Browns' game plan, and he showcased poise that bellied some of his rookie status. He wasn't exceptional, but he did look better than Dillon Gabriel, and he has been now named the starter, and we've been skeptical of.
Jesus.
I know, it's crazy.
Where is this? Is this AI? Is AI writing this for did Dion ask for this paragraph to be written by AI? This is crazy. Are you kidding me? Ask your question, because I need to get something off my chest.
Okay, so you've been skeptical of him all season and all off season. The 5th round rookie quarterback. He rode the coattail of his dad's name. Not exactly a top fantasy or starting prospect coming out of training camp, even out of the draft. We know that he was slid to the 5th round. Some people had him as a first round grade, and now he's stepping in for Dillon Gabriel.
Skip Bayless? Come on.
Yeah. Sorry, Bigz. I'm going to keep going. So from a fantasy and long-term perspective on your roster, I'm writing them off as a 1-week fluke. If this was against a soft defense that is not playing with any sort of drive right now, I don't think he's going to legitimately compete to you for the starting job, but looks like the Browns have named him that. What's going to happen here? What is your take on Shedeur Sanders? Let's hear your rant. I wish I had an intro for this because your cheeks are red. Things are happening right now, and I'm ready. So I teed you up. I let you get going here. I said everything I needed to do to rev your engine. So let's hear about it, buddy.
All over Twitter today, it was Shedeur Sanders glaze with people posting, "Where are the haters now?" Okay, I introed this show. Our cold open was me giving Dillon Gabriel's line for the season: 7 touchdowns to 2 interceptions, a 59-something% completion percentage, quarterback rating in the 80s. And then I gave Shedeur Sanders 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. That's not a good rate. A QBR in the 40s or completion percentage in the 40s. He's completed less than half of his passes. That is not good. Okay. You take a play where somebody got behind Darnay Holmes, who doesn't, and he goes deep. It was a nice throw. I'll give you, it was a nice throw. It was a nice throw. It was a terrible defensive play. And then he has a screen pass that goes for 58 yards. He did nothing in this game. Listen to this. This is the result of the Cleveland Browns drives against the Las Vegas Raiders defense. Punt, touchdown, field goal, punt, end of half, punt, fumble, punt, interception, touchdown, punt, touchdown, punt. That is not good. Shedeur Sanders is not a good quarterback. Dillon Gabriel has played better. I don't understand. They got the win. They got 10 sacks against the Las Vegas Raiders. That's what kept them in the game. That's what led them to the victory. It had nothing to do with Shedeur Sanders. He just didn't make more than 4 mistakes. The pass rush couldn't get home. The Raiders had 1 sack. Max Crosby should have had 3. It was the Cleveland Browns defense that continued over and over. And Cleveland Browns defense and the Las Vegas Raiders ineptitude on offense. Again, Chip Kelly fired last night. This was not a Shedeur Sanders win. This was a Cleveland defensive win. It had nothing to do with Sanders. This should have been a 70-point game for the Browns if there was anybody competent playing quarterback. Shedeur Sanders is not somebody that you want on your roster going forward. Don't fall for it. He is terrible still.
And so is Jerry Jeudy. All right, let's move on here. All right, let's move on to a topic that some of us in this room predicted and are reaping the benefits in 2025, and that is the Matthew Stafford to Davante Adams, the time travel that is happening in 2025 and in Week 12. Did we just watch 2016 again there, Bigz? I don't know. It was incredible. We're seeing it happen. And can we say league winners for both of these guys? They've been incredible over this last stretch of games. And we're looking at what's happening here in this offense. Davante Adams, who seemed to be one of the greatest receivers in this era. This whole package is coming together right now. 32 years old. I think he's turning 33 in the next couple weeks here. And it's feeling like he could actually outpace his 19 touchdown performance that he did when he was a Packer. And it's not out of the realm of possibilities here. But the question I have for you here, these two guys going off, what does it mean about Puka now? He's suddenly taking over in 13 personnel over Puka. That's a Davante Adams. He's starting to dominate in that role. And the Rams are running a little bit more of that. Maybe, as trying to keep Puka a little bit more healthy for this playoff run. They're running that formation a little bit more. What do you think this means for Puka moving forward? Should fantasy managers be worried about a real shift in his role and target share? I mean, his snap share has gone down over the last 3 weeks, or is this just a temporary adjustment while offense, finds a rhythm for both of these guys?
Well, I mean, they're fully dialed in with what their offense can do. When you look at their target shares, Puka has 98 targets, Davante has 94 targets. Davante's have been more meaningful. He has 12 touchdowns to Puka's 4, but Puka's gained more yards. He's got 947 yards receiving on 80 catches. Davante Adams has caught just about half, 48 of 94 targets. That's about a catch rate of 50%. It's actually just slightly above 50%. So they're using Davante Adams in a much different way than Puka. Puka is the possession receiver, and Davante is the explosive receiver. That doesn't change. The Rams know what they have. They've been rolling with it. You can probably imagine another, 19 points per game for Puka and 17 points per game for Davante Adams.
Love it. And those, that's putting them into top 12 wide receiver range for both of them, rest of the season. And they're going to finish that way. And like we had predicted. So it's
we said on the shows preseason that there was a path forward for Davante. I said Davante was going to be a top 12 wide receiver. We said that there was a possibility that they could have 2 top 12 wide receivers on the same team. Imagine if you had a team that had Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase on the same team. That's what Davante and Puka are right now.
With a quarterback that's playing probably better than he's ever have in his whole career. This Rams team is legit and are looking like a powerhouse here.
Well, it just goes to show you that when you're doing your evaluation of players, volume is king in fantasy. So you want the receivers with the targets, you want the running backs with the carries, and the path, and then you want the quarterbacks with the attempts. And the path to doing that is a good defense.
There you have it. All right, Bigz. Storylines down. I guess we could maybe talk a little bit more about the George Pickens breakout because he is now sitting at wide receiver 2 overall. It's not on the show sheet, but I think it needs to be mentioned here. What an incredible season here he's had, and it's keep coming on. The last 2 games have been incredible.
Huge.
Wide receiver 2 overall. He's outpacing CeeDee Lamb still and is the alpha dog now in Dallas. And I talked to my boy Alex on the Uncovered series, and we talked in depth about the Pickens, and he thinks he is the alpha there, and they're going to pay up. And that's from a Cowboys insider. He thinks they're going to pay up for Pickens, and Dak said it today. What's your thoughts on the George Pickens situation, and is he a Cowboy next year? And what's your uptake on him rest of the season? Is he going to finish as a top 5?
Ask somebody to predict what Jerry Jones is going to do in the offseason. We've been high on Pick. I've been high on Pickens for exactly 1 season more than you have, but
Yes.
We have both been super high on Pickens. We loved the fact that he left Pittsburgh. We knew it was going to be a boon for him. We saw it happen when CeeDee Lamb got hurt. He became the wide receiver 1. And then over the last few weeks, a funny thing has happened. What I've seen is CeeDee Lamb drop passes when he's open. And one of the knocks on George Pickens throughout the first 3 years of his career was he doesn't separate. But when you watch his contested catches, he catches them. He catches more balls when they're contested than CeeDee Lamb does when he's open. That's anecdotal and it's not true, but that's what it seems like. George Pickens is an absolute marvel. He's in a high, like Arthur Smith ruins everybody. And a high volume offense like the Dallas Cowboys passing offense, George Pickens is going to be a stud. We knew it. We saw it coming. It's finally coming to fruition. He's going to get a huge contract this year. I can't tell you that he's going to be back in Dallas. What if T. Higgins signs with Dallas and then George Pickens goes to the Raiders or the Bengals or whatever? I don't know what Jerry Jones is going to do. He's not a smart man. So that remains to be seen, but George Pickens is in line to get an alpha contract. He's gonna get a top 12 contract, and he's gonna be that guy moving forward. If I'm George Pickens, I'm looking at the CeeDee Lamb contract situation and thinking, you know what? I don't want any competition. Send me somewhere where there isn't a standard wide receiver one, and let me take over that team.
He's already taken over this team, though.
He hasn't. CeeDee Lamb is still relevant. He's still number one.
Okay.
George Pickens is doing more with his opportunity than CeeDee Lamb is, but CeeDee Lamb is Jerry Jones's guy.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to our studs and duds from week 12. Bigz, got the L cap on. I don't think you had, it wasn't too bad for you. So talk about your L's and W's for the week.
So I think I'm gonna say I have a couple pushes. Let me just I said to sit Chase Brown. That wasn't the best decision. Let's see. He so far has finished as that's not Chase Brown. That's Chase Brown. He's currently sitting at RB13, and he had 107. So against Pittsburgh, he had 18 points, 18 rushes, 18 carries, 99 yards. Against New England, he had 19 carries, 107 yards. He was the first person against New England in like weeks to break like 80 yards or something like that. He finished with 15 points. It was good for like an RB2 finish. So that's a bad call. So I will take the L on that one. However,
the hat has changed.
I said, sit Baker Mayfield. Now, there's a couple things with our starts and sits. If we tell you to sit somebody and they get hurt and leave the game only having 3.5 points, that's a win, a big W. If we tell you to start somebody and they get hurt and leave the game, you can't predict that. So that's a push. So I win on Baker Mayfield. I said sit Baker Mayfield, and all of you who did benefited. I said to start Alvin Kamara. He got hurt and left the game. Sorry, you can't see that coming. But the big win, my friends, was my start call. And I said on the show, it's a gut call. It's not based on analysis. It's just something that I'm feeling. And I'm talking about tight end 1, Hunter Henry. Woo pig suey. I said to start him. He comes out of the gate, 24.5 points. The only competition that he might have this week is George Kittle, who's currently playing right now, and he is sitting at 13 points. That's not even close. Hunter Henry, by far, tight end 1 for the week, and I told you to put him in your lineups, and I hope you listen to me because that was a big W.
Big dubs. All right, let's go over my wins and losses, and told everybody to sit Jake Ferguson. He didn't have a great game at all, but he did finish as a tight end 5, so I guess I lost that one. 5 for 60, only 11 points, but in this week, the tight ends did not do great. Outside of
5, that's a win.
Yeah, well, finishes tight end 5. I told him to sit, so that's not a great call.
No, that's a terrible call.
Yeah. So Daniel Jones finished as QB 20. I told everybody to sit him, and I think that was a great call on my behalf. So I'm going to take the W on that. A couple other W's I would say is Olave finishing as wide receiver 17, 9 for 70. That volume I mentioned on the show, and it came to fruition here. And I'm going to say I'm going to take a W on this one because of the volume and where he's headed. I told everybody to start Tre'Veon Henderson. He finished as RB20, still startable, but the workload is what everybody's optimistic about. He outsnapped, outproduced, and just was much better than both Stevenson and Jennings. So we're looking at Hendo as rest of season league winner that Bigz predicted. And he was much better in the red zone, so I could see that being more his opportunities coming forward now, seeing how much better he was there than his other two guys. So Bigz, let's quickly go over Schultz's studs and duds, and he told everybody.
Schultz said sit Genty, who's going to finish this week as RB5. That's a whiff. He said to sit Jordan Love. Jordan Love, QB 25. That's bad. Way to go, Schultz. He did
ding, ding, ding.
He said to start DeAndre Swift.
Boom.
I didn't. I started Kyle Monangai. DeAndre Swift finished with 1.9 points, and over the last few weeks, Kyle Monangai has out-touched DeAndre Swift. We waited for 3-4 years for Roschon Johnson, and it was Kyle Monangai the whole time. And then he said to start Jacoby Myers.
Lovely got the touchdown.
And he's finishing it in the top 24. So that was a good call, Schultz. Schultz at 50%. I'm at 50%. Well, I'm at 100%. And you were at 75%.
There you go. All right. Let's move on to the next section here, Bigz, and that's our waiver wire targets for week 13. And we'll start you off here with your QB/tight end target this week.
So quick trivia question. Who leads the entire NFL in yards per route run? That's right. My guy, Jameis Winston, who has 33 yards per route run. What's a good YPRR, Grindberg? Is it 2? 2 is a really good one.
Yeah, above 2, yeah.
2.2 is great. Jameis Winston has a YPRR of 33. And you're getting those points in your quarterback slot. I'm kidding. Of course, he caught a touchdown on a trick play, made a defender miss, took it 33 yards to the house. It was fantastic. So fun. All of his previous life red flags notwithstanding, go ahead and go pick up Jameis Winston just in case something is really wrong with Jackson Dart. They're making changes every week in the New York Giants coaching staff. There's a possibility that this GM says, you know what? Let's not risk any further injury to Jackson Dart. They already have Cam Scatterbo on the IR. They already have Malik Neighbors on the IR. Now Jackson Dart is in concussion protocol. They may want to just say, hey, we have a 2-10 record. Let's pump the brakes a little bit, wrap everybody up in bubble wrap, go into next season with a renewed vigor and a new coaching staff. We'll throw Jameis out there. He's the big veteran. And if that happens, you could see a week like he had this week, which was a ton of fantasy points. He absolutely put Detroit on their heels. They happened to sneak one out, but Jameis played great. Drop a waiver wire priority on Jameis Winston.
There it is. Let's go. Okay, I got another quarterback here that I think is very much worthy if he's still available in your leagues right now, and that's Jacoby Brissett, who is available in over 50% of Yahoo and ESPN leagues. He's quietly become one of the most reliable and overlooked fantasy quarterbacks headed into Week 13. Even after briefly leaving in Week 12 with an injury scare, he returned and continued doing exactly what he's done every single week since taking over the starting job. Deliver stable, high-end fantasy production, especially for the weapons around him. He's sustaining guys like, Michael Wilson and Trey McBride. These are names that, are making waves the last couple weeks. The offense isn't perfect. It's functional. It's aggressive, but it's increasingly more comfortable with Brissett running it. And we were skeptical about Kyler Murray all offseason the last couple of years, Biggs, and now we see the potential of this passing offense without him here. 18 plus fantasy points in 6 of the last 6, like 6 straight games. 317 passing yards in week 12. 3 games with 20 plus fantasy points since week 10, and now he's available in 50% of the leagues. He's almost like not just a desperation play. He's a guy that you could legitimately put in your lineup almost every week as a stream. But you're not needing to stream him anymore when you got him playing every week.
I messed up in our starts and sits, our studs and duds. I wanted to talk about, my brother has been texting me every week for like probably the last 10 weeks, his starts and sits questions. And he said on Friday, I need to flex Michael Wilson, Sean Tucker, or Trey Benson. I said I lean Tucker. That was a whiff. I should have gone with Michael Wilson. He showed me his lineup and he said, what should I do at quarterback and wide receiver? And I said, I think Brissett and McMillan. So that was a win. So I got another win and another loss. McMillan is a push, 13 points basically this Monday night. That's not great, but I wanted to throw that out there. And also, yeah, Jacoby Brissett, fine. He's doing things as long as he's got Michael Wilson and Trey McBride. I mean, he's fantasy relevant. They're playing. Michael Wilson is playing out of his mind right now.
Love it. All right, Biggs, let's get into your wide receiver ad of the week.
Wide receivers, you know me, I like to cheat. I'm going with Christian Watsandre Yoshivash. All right, I'm going with 2 this week because, first of all, in Green Bay, you have a situation. There's a situation. Christian Watson is healthy, and he's absolutely taking over the snap share and target share in that Green Bay offense. It's as if Romeo Doubs was just a placeholder for when Christian Watson got fully healthy and came back. So Christian Watson, who's owned in less than 50% of ESPN leagues, is somebody that you need to prioritize and get him on your roster. The other is a fairly recent development, and that's Andre Yoshivash of the Cincinnati Bengals. He was moved into an accelerated role when Ja'Marr Chase was suspended last week. And somehow Mitchell Tinsley managed to come out of it with some red zone targets. But Yoshivash had one of the highest snap shares of the Bengals' entire wide receiver core. And then T. Higgins got absolutely slaughtered and will not play on Thursday. So this is both a waiver wire priority ad, Andre Yoshivash, because Joe Burrow is back. Yoshivash is going to be the wide receiver 2, and T. Higgins is not going to be playing on Thursday. And this counts for one of my starts, which will be recorded on Thursday but not aired until Saturday. So go pick up Andre Yoshivash and start him, and grab Christian Watson too.
There you go. Yeah, I like these guys. I picked Yoshivash off the waivers last week after our show had aired because of some after the spitting incident with Ja'Marr Chase. He became a priority for me. And I love that. And I had Christian Watson last week on the show, so he's just somebody that's still floating around there, folks, and somebody that you got to really get into your fantasy rosters. And I'm going to go with my spotlight of the week here, and that is my wide receiver, and we're going to talk about him right away. So my wide receiver out of the week has quietly come from, mid-season depth piece from the Jets to their top wide receiver. And somehow he is on waivers because of, without recognition. Maybe we should have been on him last week when he got his touchdown. He was a guy that I expect, he was an ad in some of my deeper leagues, and I'm glad I did, because the chemistry with him and Tyrod Taylor has already been obvious. And I'm talking about John Mechie here. His usage over the last 2 weeks suggests it's not a fluke, not a gadget roll, and definitely not a 1 week wonder. He is now the wide receiver one for that team. And, we're not sure what's going to happen with Garrett Wilson moving forward rest of season. So this might be the wide receiver one for the Jets as the season progresses here. He's starting. He's running nearly every down in a snap share. He's operating as the the Z receiver, producing numbers that finally give fantasy managers something resembling some stability. 90% snap.
Z means Z for our American
Sorry,
fans.
that's
Z means Z.
That was a classic error on my behalf. Sorry, Bigz.
No,
sorry, man.
No,
Sorry. I'm just joking. Anyways, 13 targets over the last 2 weeks, 2 touchdowns over his last 2 games. Good stuff here, and it's not a desperation grab at this stage. He's a late season breakout hiding behind single-digit roster percentage, and now the opportunity is set. Grab him now, because the only thing lower than his roster percentage is the chance he's available next week. Let's go, Bigz.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, let's get into your running back, and I think this is the spotlight of the week here. Let's go.
I'm cheating again. I got 2. All right. We talked about rest of season matchups. We've been talking a lot about it over the last few weeks. And one of the names that has popped up is Alvin Kamara, because the New Orleans Saints have a very favorable rest of season matchup slate. And Alvin Kamara has that ceiling, or had that whatever. Alvin Kamara was the guy. He got hurt. He got hurt in the last game. I had him as a start. He got hurt, and we don't know if he's coming back. We don't know how he's going to be. And this is so first, let me just say, the running back room in New Orleans consists of Alvin Kamara, Kendre Miller. Both of those are hurt. This other guy, Evan Hull. Now, Evan Hull was a combine darling in Indianapolis. Never wound up making it on the field. But during the running back portion of the combine, when he was a rookie, he was absolutely off the charts. An Isaac Guerrero type. Somebody who is going to be explosive. He's also strong and big. Comes in at 5'10", 209 pounds. That's big enough. And he's fast, and he blocks, and the New Orleans Saints don't have a lot of options. So give him a stash. But the main piece is Devin Neal. Devin Neal wound up with 74% snap share against Atlanta. He's got Miami, Tampa Bay, Carolina, New York Jets, and Tennessee, all huge green matchups through your fantasy playoffs. He had 11 points in this game, 7 rushes for 18 yards, which isn't great, but this is what is great. If he's in a role replacing Alvin Kamara, he had 7 targets and 5 catches. Tyler Shuck got him the ball in the passing game. If they can figure something out between the tackles, Evan Neal. I just mixed up both those names. Evan Hull, Devin Neal, Evan Neal. Devin Neal. Did I get that one right?
Devin Neal.
It's going to be a league winner. There you go. And I told you, if he was my guy to pick up, 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So you already listened, so you don't need to, because he's already stashed.
He's on your radar.
If you're new to the show, Devin Neal.
All right, guys. And then my last running back ad here is somebody that has been overlooked, and he's just coming off a bye, so he's probably still around on your waiver wire. He's owned in less than 58% of leagues right now. So still available. And the last 2 weeks, he's been the number one running back for the Commanders. His rushing efficiency, playing style, increased workload make him one of the late season options you can actually provide every week value if he's still around. I mean, that's still a high percentage, but people are going to be aware of that right now because of coming off of the bye. So be on there early. He's a long-term play with a playoff schedule that looks good as it gets for running backs. If you're trying to get somebody on your roster before this postseason hits, he's one of the best available bets for the cheap, giving you meaningful touches when they matter most. 15 for 79 in week 11, his best game as a Washington Commander. 4.7 yards per carry this year, pretty respectable. He's the back-to-back games, week 10 and 11, as their starting running back, and he faces bottom 3 defenses in the allowed against running backs in the next little while here. So pick him up now. He's a plug-and-play guy in a flex or RB2 role if you need him down the stretch here, Bigz.
I tried to tell everybody 10 weeks ago. It's not Bill Krosky-Merritt. It's Chris Rodriguez.
And there it is. All right, Bigz. Let's go over what we're doing this week.
It just took 10 weeks. So thank you guys for watching. If you are brand new, welcome. Go ahead and subscribe so you get more great content like this. Hit the bell so you're notified when it comes up. We have an entire packed week full of content for you. Go to fantasysportsadvice.com. Go ahead and get your pro membership fired up. Obviously, it's a little late in the season to get signed up for our jersey leagues, but next season, I'm in the Jackson Smith and Jigba Jersey League, and I'm about to take it down. So I'm getting that JSN jersey. You could get into one next year if you have a fantasysportsadvice.com pro membership. There's also a ton of great content there. Messaging to get in touch with the content creators, have dialogue with them, engage with them, and all the videos are there, everything. So that's what you want. That's your priority. That's your priority waiver ad for the week if you're brand new to the channel. Other than that, we have Thursday night, Points After Thursday, Grindberg and I back live streaming at the very end of the Thursday night football game on Thanksgiving night. I think we're still doing that, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. We are.
Friday morning, our Sits show goes live or drops. Saturday, our Start show for week 13. Sunday morning, 8:30 a.m., Breakfast with Bigz. That's me, Starts and Sits questions, and a breakfast cocktail for you. We wrap it next Tuesday.
Wrap around.
Waiver wire, weekend wrap up for week 14. Wrap up for week 13. Waiver wire for week 14. See all our shows from the forum. Spilled Coffee. Lots of great hosts. Devi Dojo. You ever play college fantasy before? Devi Dojo. Go there first. So ton of stuff for you, and get our merch. We hope you win.
We hope you win, folks. And great show, Bigz. Let's hit them up, and we'll see you on our Start and Sit show. We'll hit them up on PT. Be sure to hit us up.
Hit them up.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit?